Welcome everyone. The topic for the day is managerial conflict, or should I say, how to manage conflict vis-a-vis improvement in your communication process. So essentially, it's managerial communication during or in conflict resolution. This is the two concepts that needs to be merged in this particular presentation. Come, let us understand what exactly around it. So first and foremost thing we need to understand what is a effective communication. Number one, it is a transfer of an idea. Please understand, communication is nothing but a transfer of an idea from a sender to a receiver. So there is a meaning, there is an idea that needs to be understood. The highlighted word, the emboldened word is to be understood. Next comes is about the fundamental definitions of effective communication is the exact message which is sent from the sender, please understand, is the exact message received by the receiver. So there are no concussions, there are no distortions, there is no misunderstanding, or there are no gaps in between. So the intended message should be actually being deciphered and received by the receiver end. So that's the fundamental definition. If that is this, if this is actually adhered to, it means we are basically having a very effective, a very efficient communication. Communication, remember, is the gel which sticks all the team members together. It's a lifeblood of the team. The moment there is a visible transparent communication between the team members, that means people would like to have much amount of trust, much amount of faith in the process. So it is all about transmitting meaning. This is what we are looking into it. Remember, the first word that I wanted to start was the idea between the senders and the receivers. Then the exact message that needs to be understood has been transcribed, and this leads to be a transparency, trust, faith among the team members. So that is what an effective communication is all about here. Look out here. This is the pictographical representation on what I was actually elaborating in my previous slide. Remember, this is one gentleman, one individual, one organization, and this is the ultimate gentleman, ultimate individual, or ultimate organization. In between, they encode the message and the receivers decodes the message. Now, what are the problem, which is what goes wrong with the message, is the media that utilizes is the noise or understanding. What happens is this particular would have in a different environment. Let's say it might be actually been sent from a war-like situation wherein he is actually shouting foul, foul, foul. But probably this gentleman might be having the best time of his life because it's the spring season in the seasons, and there are flowers which is blossoming all around. So probably foul, 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 he might actually receive or understand flower, 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 flower because of our ambience, and this is what we know call as noise. So remember, based upon their understanding, the complete concoction of the message has taken places. So that needs to be understand, and accordingly what has been sent and what has been understood will be based upon the responses and the feedback that goes around it. Remember, we should eliminate noise altogether. We should eliminate everything. Nothing should be left unturned, no stone unturned. In fact, of the intended message and the received message, there should be absolutely distilled, clean, and so primary communication skills are of informing skills, about listening skills. Now, basically, informing skills is encouraging ideas and thoughts to be expressed, basically nothing else. And whereas listening is understanding or decoding attentively, hearing it what exactly is to be said. You are not only hearing the voices but also visually seeing what has been happening as far the environment are concerned. And with hearing, with understanding, is all about listening, is all about it. So we need to understand, express, read, interpret the NVC or non-verbal communication, NVC. So What are 5 habits that seeks to be understood, understand, then understood? 5 poor listening habits are, these is a thing which is space out. I have just told you about the war which is happening in Ukraine and what exactly has been happening in some spring season in another part of the world. So there are two different individual, two different companies and a different ambience altogether. So there is a poor listening skills out here. Then there is something called pretentious ability. People actually want to be in a different frame of mind despite what has been given to you. We have the other context would be of selective listening. People listen only to the words, to the plea, what they want to hear. Rest of them they filter it out. Rest of them they just chunk it out. Then there's certain words, remember, uh, it is soothing to the ear. Certain words are very ambivalent and certain words are literally atrocious. So that we needs to be going around it. And definitely yes, people actually get biased with self-centeredness. Now people might be judging or probing certain words altogether, certain understanding towards themselves, and this is what is to be understand and what is to be understood, set upon it. So let us tell you about the interpersonal style. Essentially four styles. Essentially four style. See what has been done. Let me do on an y-axis. This is the y-axis, right? It's on open relationship and reserve, or should I say close relationship. We are talking about it on the x-axis. Now this is an x-axis, right? X-axis is on fast pace or on a slow pace communication. So when there is a relationship which is open and slow pace, what happened? It is a realtor. It is a warm, friendly, slow, easy. It is as on when on basis. There are no nitty gritty things happening. There are no transaction basically happening. So it is always having a feel good factor. But what happens when there is an open relationship in a direct fast pace? So that means there is some ambivalent transaction happening in. It is all about wealth, probably it is all about family, probably it is all about risk. Yes, and relationship is more important. Believe it or not, it's the socializer. In reality, it is always a neighborly feeling that comes around it. It is, there are no tagline attached to it. There are no values, or everybody has a good value, for example, but there are no better outcomes that one is looking forward it. But in socializing, which is direct pace, there are outcomes attached, there are emotions attached. Let us come to the close relationship or a reserve relationship. We are talking about it, and in paces of direct, indirect, slow pace, that is all about being thinker. It is, what is close relationship? Probably people are not directly involved altogether, so they think it out, they work it out. Probably they will actually put in other people in the loop so that understand what works well altogether. So it is absolutely the people who are thinker all out. Since they are into close relationship and they are not directly linked into it, they might put in a word here and there, and that's enough of it. Then we have something wherein close relationship but which is directly paced. Now this is where you have to understand the relationship might become toxic, probably might not, might become very fruitful altogether, because here again emotions are involved altogether. It is on the result that we are looking into it. If results are in the positive fashion, things are very warm and very cordial. But if results are not in line with the thinking, think the relationship might go toxic. So it's little concerns, and probably people do not share the same feeling around it. So we have four interpersonal styles. I have spoken about the realtor, the socializer, the thinker, and the director. Let us understand the barriers to effective relationships. Now, please understand, here is the message and there is the barrier, and you have no understanding or very little understanding. Now, this is what we are going to talk about. This is the barrier that we are talking around here, out here. What are they? There are interpersonal relations and interpersonal relation and interpersonal relations. When interpersonal, there are two kinds of barriers, which is structural and technological, physical or environmental, which is external to you. This is within the organization, this is outskirts of the organization. So, communication improvement strategies. Now, we need to understand how to improve our transmission of an idea. So, plan what you say. First and foremost thing, better if you can plan what you say. Oh, it is still better if you can write before you actually start expressing it. And hopefully, why not utilize multiple channels with the advent of so many technologies today? Now not only we can talk, we can call up the mobile and talk to the person. We can also send an email for confirming the same thing, probably also WhatsApp or message a person regarding the receipt of the mail and as per other thing. So you have multiple channels, multiple mediums for confirmation and getting your things done. Remember, always tailor the message to the audiences. Now to a superior or superordinate person, you will show respect, and you cannot use slangs or dirty words altogether, or cuss word for that matter. But probably to a laborer, probably towards, I do not generally promote the use of cuss word or the slang words altogether. But at this point of time, people, if you are too genial to the thing, avoiding the cuss and the slang words, you can be bit direct and bit forceful as to make them understand, make it register in their mind the urgency of the work, and things will get done. So basic, what I wanted to say is, have a clear, simple, understandable language, whether you're speaking to a superordinate person or a completely a downtrodden workers who is not very much interested in the work and probably have got tangential interest in your business. So you need to approach these two person in a different fashion. So you need to tailor the message to the audience, empathize with the others at the same time. Did I say to use the word of slangs or the cuss words? No, I say be with them, come into their parameters and talk it out. Remember, face to face communication while dealing with change is the most important thing concept altogether. Remember, this are the strategies that we go around it. We should always solicit feedback. What do I intend to say is to have a two-way communication. Definitely active listening. What, hear it out, hear what the person is saying, but understand what he means, please. This understanding is very important. Remember, your words and actions should be marrying with each other. There should be a congruency. Remember to ask feedback question, or if possible, can you paraphrase those questions? Never what I say would be depending upon the grapevine as the sources of employee uses. Use the grapevine to solicit information, but not go for solution via grapevine or rumors meals in the office. So use feedback. Definitely, yes, I have been trying to tell it to you. See, this is akin to one another, and definitely be direct or be assertive in your communication abilities. That is what makes you go. So, assertive continuum, there are basically, see, three continuums that comes around it. It is the three continuum which bulks around here. One is a passive, wherein you are basically letting people walk through you. You are not objecting. Assertive, wherein you are not only protecting your identity, your turf, and also protecting the turf or the identity of the other individuals, organization, and so on and so forth. But passive and aggressive, and that's the reason why I've drawn the line out here, is to be the other way around. When you are passive, you are letting other people walk onto your turf, probably walk onto you. But when you are the person who's walking into somebody's else turf, that is when you are getting aggressive. So passive is when you laid back, assertive when you are stand up, aggressive when you dominate altogether, and that is what the assertive is all about it. So we will have the PSE concept, or the parent, adult, child. These are egos, nothing else. These are just egos, positive and negative. See, of parent, when we are behaving like a parent, we are looking for keeping things safe, having a calming effect, having nurturing and supportive, protecting, giving a protection to your community, to your people whom with you are interacting, or at least innovating them, motivating them to do something positive around it. Similarly, what are the negative connotations would be? You might become too controlling, too dominating, too critical, too patronizing, and probably finger pointing, or let's say accusing. Remember, it's all become accusing, where you try to pick up the faults altogether rather than only praises. So basic, when it becomes supportive, it is praising, nurturing, giving, equipping all your friends or all your relationship with certain kind of affinity. Therein you are in the parent ego stage. This is the ego stage. But what happens when it becomes an adult ego stage? In an adult ego stage, look out here, there are nothing negative. Why? Because now between two person, two individual, two entity, or two organization, everything is reasonable, everything is logical, everything is on mere fact, everything one understand, it is all on transparent. If somebody is getting aggressive, somebody is getting submissive, there are valid reasons for it. Remember, they are at an adult childhood thing. People know what are they doing, or if they are on the right turf or on the wrong turf. Similarly, when it comes to the child ego stage, look what happens with the positive things. Child is all the people who will be asking questions, looking creativity, spontaneity, without it's a jerk of an activity that comes around it. They might, people might act before thinking. Now these are the positive things that can yield positive responses, but in case it yields negative responses, what does it happen? It becomes insecure, people become rebellious, they are difficult to manage and tantrum. So you just cannot crib with your relationship, you just cannot back down on a particular position, and so on and so forth. So people might start thinking that you become a laggard. So that's the parent adult child relationship that we are looking into it. Communication and trust, remember, these are the only two ingredients for a successful relationship. And if you miss any one of them, your vehicle will not rise, move, or have a good beneficial impact. So let us talk about NVCs before we wind it up. NVCs are non-verbal communication. Remember, most of the things non-verbal communication goes with between the eyes, between the understanding. So what do we do it? I have given you examples where in environmental condition, let's say the war that is happening in Ukraine, and the people who might be actually um, uh, enjoying in the lap of the nature. Then we have the physical characteristics of the communicators, the behavior characteristics of the communicator during interaction, the way people are conducting themselves. Now this is what is the three principles that non-verbal communication entails altogether, where the environmental, physical, and behavioral characteristics are of vital importance. Remember, in a comprehensive non-verbal communication, it is word which is less and less. The most least thing that comes around is the word, right? Then it is all about the tonation or modulation of the word and the physical exuberance that you show, the way you want to go around it. That consists around 55% of the physiological. That's the comprehensive of NVCs. We'll talk about the body language. Now, it is all about the way you talk, the postures that you make. You might be slouching, you might be attentive, you might be at a straight up position. What is your appearance that you're looking into it? Whether you tidy, untidy, the way you handle yourself, what is your head movement? Are you nodding? Are you smirking? Are you smiling? You need to understand those small things. Both smirking and smiling seems to be okay, but one is in a negative connotation, the other one is a positive thing. Talking about the eye movement, whether you are focused, whether you're making an eye contact, whether you are having any sort of, let's say, probably winking, that means you might be joking also. The facial expression that comes around it, the various kind of faces that we make around the body contact, whether we are saying shaking off hands, probably are we avoiding with them, probably are we distanced with them, the closeness and the sounds of laughing that comes across it. These are the essential component of NVCs or non-verbal communication. We'll talk about the interpersonal communication. Look at it. We have to walk step by step for a difficult confirmation. If you can understand these three, this particular page, the whole the whole presentation, the whole time that we have actually worked watching this video will be the most fruitful one. Remember, first and foremost thing is to yourself you can change. You can only manipulate yourself and prepare for a fruitful conversation. Before going into the conversation, ask simple four steps. What are they? First is step number one being inquiry. Then ask acknowledgement, as in whatever you've done, can you paraphrase that thing? If you've understood the responses, paraphrase it. Then talk about your advocacies as to what you want actually and how do you go around it. And then the last step is problem solving, wherein you come to the conclusion. Remember, all these things required only one thing in place: working with yourself, talking about yourself, preparing your questions, asking everything every now and then. That is all about practice. We are talking about it. And how do I begin? What is your possible uh, openings? How do I make an impact? If you can create, if you can think it out, if you can rehearse it out with your friends or yourself in your mind, I am sure that most of you are going to have a superficial and successful communication. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.